Hey guys, so today I'm going to be running a short tutorial on how to draw such things as hedges, single trees, and groups of trees in the form of a forest. So I'm going to be covering how to quickly sketch these with some easy techniques. It's basically just scribbling. So either draw along with me if you like, or pull up a cup of tea and make yourself comfy and strap in to enjoy. So to start us off, let's go with a bush. Bushes are pretty simple, and I'm going to quickly create the image of a hedge or a bush that's separating a couple of fields. Now, when you can see the base of the bush, it helps if you go with a smooth line, but keep your hand kind of loose, so it's not exactly a straight line like you've used a ruler. And then the top of the bush, you can do a squiggly line like that, or, as I prefer to do, is literally just a scribble. So you actually overlap what you're doing, and every now and again you go a bit shallower or a bit higher, and that gives the image of like a natural hedge, because we all know that a hedge isn't square in real life. So that's hedges covered. Now a tree, it's easy to think of a tree as kind of a bush or a hedge on a trunk. So you start off with your trunk, and it's always slightly thicker at the bottom, slightly thinner at the top. Once you're more experienced, you can play around with like gnarly blobs on the side and weird stuff. But your basic tree, you've got your trunk and then your bush, and it's roughly going to be kind of like an egg shape. So the base of your tree is going to go out, and the best bit about the squiggle technique, or just scribbling, is that if you mess it up or you think, okay, that's alright, but I kind of want it to come out a bit fatter, you just do that, because once you've got your outline, you're going to cover it all in scribbles anyway. So that's your outline for a tree, and I'm going to have my light coming in from this direction. So then you need to pick which bits of the tree are going to be in shadow and which are going to be a bit lighter. So my line is going to be here, and the top of the tree on this side is light, and the bottom of the tree is always in shadow, and the side of the tree always have a slither of darkness, because that's how it's always going to look in nature. So then just randomly scribble, this creates the illusion of dense foliage, because you're not going to be drawing individual leaves, that would take hours. So you've got your shadowy bit of the tree, and you can go over the scribbles that you've already done to make it even darker. So it's kind of like cross-hatching. The more you go over it, the darker it looks, except you want to create the illusion of a randomness. So the scribble is perfect. So now you've got a really dark area on the bottom, and a slightly darker area in a sort of crescent shape around the middle area and on the side that is in shadow. So now you're going even lighter than you were before, literally just scratching the page to create your light side of the tree. And there you have it. Really quick, simple, and it kind of looks like a tree. It's pretty good. Now, usually, if you want to do an easy, quick sketch, I'd put a bush down below the tree, just so that I don't have to draw the roots. But if you've got a particular tree that you're actually drawing from real life, why not go in with the roots? Especially if they look like cool roots. Like sometimes they come out here and then they pop up over the ground and they make a little loop, and maybe the ground is there and you can see the whole root coming out. And the importance here is to have loads of layers, because otherwise it starts to look a bit weird. And remember that you can draw in a straight line to give the illusion of some soil. It doesn't have to look exactly how it would look, because you're creating the illusion of something, not accurately drawing exactly what is there. See there, all I've done is scribbled about, given the illusion of some twisting tendril-like things, and because there's a tree on top of it, your eyes automatically think, oh okay, yeah, that's roots there. And maybe you've got a couple of lower hanging branches, so that's easy. Just imagine another little bush coming out of a branch. And the same rule applies. You've got light coming in from here, so that bit's going to be lighter, this bit's going to be darker. So there's a tree. It looks like a tree, your eye automatically thinks, oh yeah, tree. So you've got bushes, really easy. Just a straight line on the bottom and scribble on the top. And you can get more complicated with it. You can go like that to create a field. And sometimes you'll have a group of trees together to make a small forest or wooded area. And what you will need to do for that, often it's going to be in the distance. So in the background you might have a forest, a clump of trees, a bit like this. And all I did to do that was give the illusion of a hedge round the bottom, because a forest always has plants lower down with a higher canopy of trees on the top. So you've got your bush. It could be heather, it could be bracken, or any kind of fern plants, but it doesn't really matter, because your eye sees the squiggle and it thinks, okay, low foliage, and it imagines it. So you've got your bush, or whatever it is, your low foliage, and then just pick some random orientations and positions to put some trees. And I'm going to have these two further forward, with one in between them that is further back, and then one on this side that's further back, and two on this side, I think. So then we can start putting the tree bushes back on top. And this one as well. And then these ones that are behind, you're going to have them hanging down a bit lower, because the way perspective works in nature, these, even if these are the same height as these, they're going to appear lower hanging. So you're going to have a canopy in two levels. And these are going to be way darker than the ones in front. because they're deeper into the forest. So lots of dark squiggles. I'm going over myself plenty of times. Each bit here I'm probably overlapping about 5 or 6 times, just to make sure it's a really heavy shadow. And then we come to the trees at the front. Oh, my light again is coming from here, just to keep continuity. So go over a couple of times. And then you can go back. This is the beautiful thing, is you can always go back and do another couple of layers of scribbles, and it's gonna look absolutely fine. You can never do too many layers of squiggles. And then build up some more shadow, so you've got 2 or 3 different shades or levels of shadow. And then break up the trees. So you can see that there's definitely 3 separate trees in the front here. You've got this one here with a dark side and a light side, and then it's punctuated by a shadow from the next tree along with the light bit. And then again, you can see that this tree is tucked behind this one because there's a shadow. And then, if you really want to give an illusion of a deep forest, maybe you want to trick people into thinking that there are a few other layers of trees, or maybe it just keeps going forever. Do your standard crosshatch. So we're not doing scribbles anymore, we're doing straight line crosshatch. And then go over at 45 degrees diagonal. Keep going. And then go for a horizontal. And each time you go over, you're building up this darkness. And then straight up and down. And eventually you'll get to a shade where the area between the trees is about as dark as the scribbled bits from the bottoms of the trees. But because you've done a scribble on one and a straight line crosshatch on the other, there's a slight difference in the texture. And your eye can still tell the difference. It can see that barrier, that line between the two. And if you start to not be able to see that line, don't worry. Just go over it again. Go over the line again. So that barrier, that boundary, is super dark. And your brain automatically goes, okay, so that's the shadow in between the trees, that's the shadow of some trees. A lot of this quick sketching, you are creating the illusion of something, tricking the brain into automatically correcting itself. And I think that concludes our little tutorial on how to sketch hedges and trees. We've covered hedges, single trees, and groups of trees or forests. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you'd like any further details on anything, I'd be happy to clarify. Lay down a comment or whatever. If you'd like to see a video on how to draw or sketch something in particular, something you'd like me to cover in the future, lay down a comment, as always. I'm going to put in a link to my video on how to draw and sketch mountains, and that's going to be about here-ish. Till next time.